It's noon on Tuesday, March 29th, and this is news that you can use from YAA with your hosts, Zach and Ray. And a big shout out to my son-in-law, Zach's brother-in-law, Zach. It's 30 years old today. Happy birthday, Zachary.
Happy birthday, Zach. You treat my sister very well, and for that, I love and appreciate you.
Yeah.
Dad,
Yes.
we're going to be talking about what's going on in the used car market today. Our dear friends over at Black Book will actually be joining us live on the show on April 11th, so make sure you put that on your calendar. Not only will we have Jared Kalfas, who is the president of Black Book. Black Book's owned by Hearst, but he's president of Black Book.
Yes.
Laura Wehunt, who's one of the vice presidents of Black Book, and a gentleman named Alex, and I don't want to butcher his last name, but Alex is their head of data science. They'll all be joining us on April 11th, so be sure to tune in for that. Today, we have data that starts to show what's going on in the used car market. Some of the things we thought about a couple weeks ago: hybrid prices starting to move around, subcompact car prices starting to move around.
Mm-hmm.
But before all that, Dad, a new project here at YAA.
What are we calling this one?
The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Okay, I like that.
It is about time that we started to embark on a project like this. We are asking you, the community, to go to this URL, joinyaa.com/car dealer reviews. Dash is in there. We are trying to seek out information about dealerships out there. It is egregious what's happening in the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you have purchased a vehicle recently, and now that I'm thinking about this, we should probably put a purchase date on this form. If you bought a new car, tell us where you bought it from. Tell us what car you bought. Did they sell it to you at MSRP? Did they require you to purchase accessories? Did they require you to purchase protection packages? If you answer yes to this, we're going to ask you what and for how much. Would you recommend this dealership to a friend? And if you have any deal documents you can share with us, please censor the information and share it with us. If you bought a used vehicle, we want to know, did they charge a reconditioning fee? And if so, how much? And did they allow you to get a pre-purchase inspection? Same questions below. Would you recommend the dealer? We're going to compile all of this data.
Yes.
And we are going to build out the authoritative community-based database to help people find half-decent dealerships, okay?
And the only way we can do that
is if people contribute to it.
Exactly. Everybody says, well, you got to give us a list of the good dealers, or you got to warn us about the bad dealers. Well, we need everybody to share that information with us so we can actually do that.
We will do our job. We will compile it, and we will not put a paywall around it. Like, we will share it. That is the promise we can make. The best thing we've done thus far is the community forum. This is a more organized effort. All right, that is the pitch for where we need help. I'll bring it up again at the end of the show. Dad.
Okay, yes.
Week over week.
Yes.
What the hell is going on with car prices?
The wholesale values are dropping just a tiny bit.
I mean, so let's zoom in right here.
Yeah.
Every week that we're below the red line, that's a week where wholesale depreciation has occurred.
Yes.
We had been down in near half point plus territory for 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting ready to overtake the red line.
It looks like it. Car depreciation was less than 1/10 of a point last week, after the prior week being half of a point. Truck depreciation was higher. And when we go to break down the different types of depreciation, we'll start to piece together why.
Yes.
But what was your immediate reaction when you saw this?
Oh, I was, it indicates that we're finally getting into spring selling season. The wholesale prices are starting they're going to start to rise. So that any depreciation that we've seen in those wholesale values over the past 7 or 8 weeks, they'll be lost probably starting next week. We'll start seeing things going up up and to the right, as you like to say, which is not necessarily direction that's good for the public.
Absolutely not. So let's start to break down what we're actually seeing happen here, Dad. The car segment. Subcompact cars appreciated for the second week in a row.
Yes. Compact
cars appreciate, honestly, relatively considerably. The word to be used would be considerably.
Yes.
Mid-size cars up as well. Everything else fell.
Yep.
Now, Laura sent us an email yesterday, and her rationale for why this has happened is gas prices.
Yes. And gas prices, I think I checked this morning. Gas prices are about 8 or 9 cents on average lower today than they were at the highest point. I think today the average was 4.24 cents per gallon. The high water mark was 4.33 cents per gallon. So we've seen a slight backing off of gas prices, but not as dramatic as the wholesale price of crude oil. So everything always lags, apparently, or in some cases, never lags at all. It just never happens.
Like retail prices following
Prices,
wholesale
yes,
prices.
Yes. We don't seem to see that.
Let's take a quick peek at the truck and SUV segment. So you can
Yes.
see depreciation for trucks and SUVs, with the exception of compact vans, full-size vans, and small pickup trucks. Those were the three that appreciated week
Yes.
over week.
Yes.
Everything else on the truck and SUV side depreciated pretty significantly for the compact luxury crossovers, the mid-size crossovers as well. But this is the first week that we've seen the juxtaposition of smaller compact cars appreciating
Mm-hmm.
and everything else depreciating. And if you remember, we talked about on the show yesterday, I'm going to pull it up right now, iSeeCars.com. They did this research from last month.
Mm-hmm.
The vehicles that appreciated most year over year are all like either compact or subcompact cars, with the exception of the G-Class and the Model S.
Yes.
The data now from Black Book leads me to believe that when iSeeCars reruns this report for March or for April or for May, it's simply going to get more egregious.
Mm-hmm. No, I would agree. And the prices that have appreciated the most are on the most affordable cars in the segment.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I noticed,
making them less affordable than they've ever been.
Oh, every day that goes by, if you want to buy a Chevy Bolt or a Chevy Spark, which like discontinued as well, every day that goes by, it's going to get more expensive.
Yep, more than likely.
Now, one of the things I found interesting, this is the days to turn.
Mm-hmm.
Fell off a cliff week over week.
Yes.
So it's the amount of inventory that's sitting on dealers' lots and how long it takes to turn is going down. Yes. I wonder if some of this is precipitated by the rental car companies being more aggressive at auctions. So more dealers just turning around and saying, screw it, we don't need to sell to a retail customer. Let's just sell it back at the auction. Let's get rid of our expensive.
Or they could be selling direct to the rental car companies.
Does that happen?
There's nothing that prevents Avis or Hertz or Budget or whoever from actually contacting a dealer directly and offering to purchase something that's on their lot. That happens.
I bet you that is happening.
Yes.
All right, we got a couple messages here in the chat. Learning Fast says, have you seen the Kelley Blue Book has basically abandoned their app? This year, their app just crashes every time, and they won't fix it. Maybe there's an opportunity for YAA to jump into that space. We actually launched, it's in beta right now. It's not completely ready. Let me pull it up there so I can share it. We have our fair market valuation page. It's free, 100% free. Join yaa.com/valuation. Put in your VIN, what state you're in, and the mileage of your vehicle, and we'll give you the fair market valuation. We also have on this page just like a how to sell your car guide, a checklist right here, or if you've got a lease, we've got the how to sell your lease checklist as well. But this will text you or email you the fair market value. So sorry, KBB's website's down, but we are trying to help in that area. There was another message I saw in here. Just to say, Edward with a good question here as well. Good midday, gentlemen. Does it depend on the company, Toyota versus Hyundai, where we're seeing the appreciation in used vehicles, the depreciation in used vehicles? Probably both of them are appreciating pretty rapidly.
Yeah. If you look at the list that we had done, they were 8 out of the 10 were basically entry-level affordability cars.
Yep.
And those are the ones, because they were most affordable to begin with.
Yep.
Are the ones that have appreciated the most. And even with all that appreciation, for instance, the Sonata Hybrid, which appreciated 62%.
Yeah.
Even with all that appreciation, it is still one of the more affordable cars of its type in the pre-owned side of things. But that doesn't mean that it should be selling at as high a price as it is at the moment.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. But it will, and it most likely will continue to actually go up is our expectation.
Oh, yes, absolutely, especially hybrids.
All right, now let's take a quick peek at this article that you queued up for today's show, Dad. Tight supplies, cloudy outlook to dent March Q1 sales. So for the first time in a decade, I think they said in a decade, sales have slumped to their lowest levels for car dealers. So things got a little fat and happy, I think you could say, in 2021. Profits, record-setting profits. We'll probably have
Absolutely.
record-setting profits again in Q1,
Oh,
but it
absolutely.
seems like the slowdown is real. Like the effects so far this year have been much more severe than most had anticipated.
Well, and at the beginning of the year, there were a lot of prognosticators, them too,
Yeah.
who were predicting that we would see retail new car sales in the 16 million vehicle range this year. And suddenly those numbers have been reduced by most to about 15.3 million. And the reason for that is the pandemic's continuing. There's a war, inflation, chip shortages, supply chain issues. Production of inventory has not been able to ramp up to where they would like it to be.
I think that's the biggest one.
Oh, yes.
That's the biggest one that's
Absolutely.
holding the dealerships back. And yeah, here you go from Igor.
Yeah.
Record profits are still there, but per unit volume is down. It is interesting though. These are the first headlines that are really starting to paint the picture that like things are down. Like this is going to be the worst quarter when you go for then your seasonally adjusted annual rate
Yes.
that we've seen in over a decade.
Yes.
And you've sold cars when things were pretty meh. I mean, it's potentially a silver lining here for the consumer. If things get so bad, you've talked about this, that then eventually supply will outpace demand because demand will drop so much. But it seems like it's a little bit of a slippery slope to go down that way, and it's also a bit of a ways off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just let's face it, there just isn't a lot of inventory out there. So people that just go into a dealership on the spur of the moment and say, gee, I think maybe I'd like to get a car. Well, they can go into the dealership and maybe they want to get a new car, but the dealership doesn't have a new car for them to buy.
Yeah.
So that they have to put their name on a waiting list or they have to put a deposit on an incoming car, whatever it is. So that is delaying the instant gratification that we've seen in the past.
Which is exactly why, just to plug it really quick, that's exactly why we're doing the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
We need the community to tell us which dealerships are good, like about placing orders and stuff too, because then we'll send them more business. And if they're bad, we're going to try and take away as much business as possible.
Yeah, because I mean, there are dealers out there where if you say, well, gee, I'd like to order, or I want to put my name on an incoming unit, and I don't want you to install any dealer accessories. And there are any number of dealers out there that'll look at you and go, nope, all our cars get accessorized. Well, it hasn't arrived yet. Doesn't matter. All our cars get accessorized. Well, that's not a good dealer.
Yep.
Okay. A good dealer would say to you, yep, I get it. No problem. We'll only install what you want if you want anything. And if you don't, we won't do our normal installation of this, this, and this. That would be a good deal.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to try to establish. Which dealers, if you're ordering a car or going on their wait list, are not forcing you to take items that you weren't interested in.
Lots of interesting comments in the chat here, Pops. A few things here. Manufacturers announced Q1 car sales this week. I bet almost everyone is way down.
Yeah.
Tesla will be the only one that has continued to increase to higher levels. And Intelligent Car Buying here, thank you for this. The seasonally adjusted sales rate
for this period,
seasonally adjusted annual rate,
yeah,
I guess is what that stands for,
yeah,
was down to 12.7 million.
Yes.
So if we sell at the same rate from the first quarter to the end of the year, it's 12.7.
Yeah.
The expectation was it was going to be 16 million. And think about this.
By the end of the year, now the expectation is 15.3 million.
And think about this for a second. Everyone tells us in the chat, everyone tells us in the community, hell, we could go walk down the street to Bethesda, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, or the Honda dealership. They got no cars. So why is there any expectation that we're going to go from 12.7 million sold in the first quarter to where?
No, well, the reason for that, is traditionally the first quarter of the year is the slowest quarter of the year. Traditionally.
I wonder when some of these sales are even getting booked, Dad. Like, I wonder if people booked sales for last year that didn't actually happen, if they're booking sales that are happening now that are actually going to take delivery next quarter. Like, there's probably a lot
you don't book the sale until it's complete.
I would be surprised if there's not some games going on right now.
Well, I don't know how you book a sale that's not complete. You can't book a sale on a car that's not there.
You've told me plenty of stories of that.
The car has to be there. Yeah. I mean, dealers can RDR a car.
RDR, retail delivery reported
Yes.
vehicle. Yeah.
Yes, but there's nothing for them to RDR.
You can't RDR something without a VIN.
Well, I mean, listen, I remember when I was at our Audi store, and the Audi rep would say, we really got to get our numbers this month. Yeah. So if there's any cars that are due in,
Yep.
yeah, towards the end of the month that might not make it by the end of the month, but we'll make it in the first couple of days of the next month. Let me know if you want to report those in this month, and I'll give you the code so you'll be able to report them.
Now,
So yeah, that happens.
Yesterday, did you sit in on the webinar from Cox Automotive?
I didn't sit in on it.
But did you look at the presentation?
I looked at the presentation.
Do you want to share with the audience like what you learned from that? I mean, I thought it was pretty interesting.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors that are negatively impacting what's going to be going on in the automobile industry the rest of the year, which is why Cox has looked at it, and their original projection for the year was 16 million new car sales, and they've already chopped off 700,000 of those, based on what they're seeing happening, and there's nothing at the moment that would indicate that there's going to be a tremendous influx of vehicles between now and the rest of the year. I mean, honestly, in there they stated that we might not start to really see any type of recovery as far as inventory levels are concerned until sometime next year. And we keep kicking the can down the road because none of the manufacturers want to just tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.
We're interviewing AMD tonight, the car care nut. Can't wait to ask him what he's hearing about at Toyota. It would be fascinating.
Well, the manufacturers don't want to tell you all the bad news. They just don't. So, oh yeah, we'll be able to do this. And then suddenly they're not able to do it, and then suddenly there's no production, and so I think the truth of the matter is that we probably, I would love to get David Chow on the show again.
He emailed me.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. I'll coordinate that.
Yeah, we need to make that happen because I know David was hopeful that we would see a return to more normal productions by the end of the year or the first quarter of next year. And I would. My suspicion is, I haven't talked to David. I'm not going to put words in David's mouth, but I wouldn't be surprised if that increase that everybody was expecting doesn't happen until the second or third quarter of next year. Would not surprise me at all because nothing seems to be happening in as speedily a fashion as they had originally envisioned.
Let me cue up two things that tie into this, Pops. One is from this story yesterday on Automotive News, $13.5 billion committed to North American EV battery plants only scratches the surface. The reason I'm pulling this up is there's a great quote in here. Let me find it. Boom.
I love great quotes.
Unprecedented. The enormous scale of new investment is unprecedented in automotive history, said Evan Horetsky, a partner at McKinsey & Co. and a former Tesla executive. Quote, "We're trying to find a historical match. Basically, this is industrial revolution scale," Horetsky said. And we're seeing that we're only at the starting point of the scaling journey. I thought this was a really interesting quote from someone who's obviously really deep in the industry, saying this is the same scale as the Industrial Revolution. So if you think we're ever going to go back to where we were in December of 2019, we're not. Yeah. We're obviously not. What it looks like on the other side is going to be very different. And it ties in a bit with this bill that was just passed by the Senate, $52 billion to boost U.S. manufacturing, chip manufacturing.
Now, here's what everybody has to know. Senate passed their version of the bill. The House has passed their version of the bill. They now have to vote.
We're waiting for them to consult us, actually.
That would be nice to consult Justin.
Yeah.
But we're waiting on them to vote to send it to committee. And what committee means is that the House and the Senate gets together and they compromise and they fight and they put together a compromise with language so that the bill will be acceptable to the House and acceptable to the Senate and then gets voted on again and then eventually makes its way to the president's desk for him to sign it.
Yep.
Now, how long that might take, I don't know, but God knows $52 billion is much needed money to bring more chip manufacturing back to the United States. I think in the article somewhere it said, was it in the 80s or 90s, that 40% of the chip manufacturing was happening here in the United States. And now that's down to 12%. So,
U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo
yes.
noted that 2 decades ago, the U.S. produced nearly 40% of all chips, while today it
So
accounts
in the
for only
early
12%.
in the early 2000s. So it's not that we didn't have the ability to do it. We just kind of farmed it out.
Yeah, became dependent on others.
Yeah, because we found cheaper ways.
Think about it. It's the same thing as energy dependence. We're dependent on other countries to supply us with our energy. We're dependent at present on other countries to supply us with microchips.
Yes.
And you're starting to see how that can be leveraged against you.
Yes.
And not necessarily in a nefarious way. I'm not trying to insinuate that I don't think anyone expected or that COVID would have precipitated all this. No one
Yes,
saw
but
that
it
coming,
has.
but it has. And so this is the ramification of that. And it's the same thing as energy dependence.
And even if the number stays at $52 billion, it's not like you can then take some of the money and instantly put up a plant.
No,
It takes 2 to 3 years. Okay, from the time you say we're going to build a plant to the time that the plant's actually operational. So even if we commit $50 billion to producing more microchips here in the country, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take time.
You want to know what I'm excited to see? 2030, the year's 2030.
Yeah.
Microchips are here in the United States.
Yeah.
Your Ford or GM product that's produced in Michigan.
Yeah.
Your destination fee, I'm gonna guess $3,400.
Wow.
Timestamp this.
Wow.
Can't wait to see how more things move back domestically. You cut down on shipping expenses. Okay, destination fee goes right on up.
Well, I don't think the destination fee will necessarily go up, but I think
come on.
I think the MSRP of the cars will go up because the chips will be much more expensive having been produced in this country than if they were importing them from the Far East. So I think you'll definitely see prices go up as we produce more and more of these products that are needed for these cars here in this country.
Want to jump to the chat and answer a couple questions here, but again, want to remind everyone, new project that we just launched today, joinyaa.com/car-dealer-reviews. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We need you to tell us about a car deal that you have recently had. We are trying to compile the database on the good, the bad, and the ugly dealerships so that we can surface the good ones.
Yes.
Is chastise the right word?
Well, we can
tisk the bad ones.
Exactly.
We can tell the ugly ones that we're not gonna stand for that. So please fill out this page, share it with a friend. Let's compile that database.
Let's get as much information as we can from as many people as we can.
We had someone in the chat that mentioned, let me pull this up before I actually even hit on it here. Read this. Selling my 2006 Ford 500 Limited with 152,000 miles. I'll let it go for a cool 12.9. Who wants it? Laugh out loud. Well, if you want to sell it for 12.9, do yourself a favor. Go to joinyaa.com/valuation. Figure out if it's even worth it. Our new valuation tool is right here. And April 11th, the same day that we have the team at Black Book on this show, we are also launching the YAA Electric channel. So if you're interested in all things EV, I've got so much to learn. I can't wait to host this with Justin. Check out that channel, YAA Electric, here on YouTube.
And we're up to 89 subscribers.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
And it hasn't even launched yet.
We really appreciate everyone supporting us. All right, John's got a question here.
Yes.
Do you think higher interest rates will be a buzzsaw for the spring selling season?
Buzzsaw. I think with the Fed having said that they're going to raise interest rates every 6 weeks, as I've said in the past, that gives you basically a 6-week window in order to buy a car at a cheaper interest rate. So if you wait 7 weeks to get your car, well, then you're going to be buying a car at a slightly higher interest rate, which means your payment's going to be slightly higher. Well, by the end of the year, slightly higher is going to be considerably higher.
Yep.
So the raising of interest rates will have a negative impact for a lot of people. cars will become less and less affordable because the payments will become less and less affordable. So it could be a buzzsaw. I mean, the Fed's using the raising of the rates to try and tame inflation. And one of the ways you tame inflation is by people stop buying stuff.
They're kind of
Prices
behind the
will
eight
come-
ball, though,
well,
to be
yeah,
honest.
Yes, they are. But
Who would have seen this coming? Let's print
I
money.
don't know. Everybody.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's besides the point.
And then you've got from Kimberly here. Kimberly saying, and F&I managers will use the raising of rates as an excuse to add to their buy rate.
Yes.
It has never been more important to get outside financing options before you head in to a dealership.
That is correct.
Todd in South Dakota letting us know that dealers are playing hardball there because of the low inventory. Tried to deal on 2022 Challenger, but the dealer didn't budge on their asking price. Challenger's actually even going to be discontinued in 2 model years, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be moving to the electric version, which Christopher can't wait for the EV channel. We'll be talking about the EV. What do you think is going to happen to muscle cars, Dad? EV muscle cars.
Oh, I think they can pump out any noise they want to make it sound really spectacular, even though the engine's not making any noise at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it'll give you the sense that it's roaming around, and that's what you're looking for.
100%, 100%. Here you go from Learning Fast. Interest rates for homes aren't necessarily tied to car loan rates. Home interest rates have doubled this year, but some car loans are still 2.75% for 72 months for new cars. Exactly. Yeah, if you can still find good options on the interest rate side of things. Our expectation is that each time the Fed increases the federal funds rate, that's going to drive up.
One of the things we might see happen, and in the first quarter of this year, the average incentive amount from manufacturers on the retail side, the customer rebate programs and things like that, the average incentive was $1,000, which was down, I don't know, 50, 60, 70% from where it was a year ago. Now, as interest rates go up, the amount that manufacturers might have to spend on incentives to either to buy down the interest rates so that they can offer a subvented interest rate to customers, or to increase the size of rebates to ultimately lower the total price of the vehicle and the amount financed. We might see incentives go up in the second and third quarter, but in the first quarter, incentives were basically non-existent.
No, they were non-existent. I mean, maybe the exception would be Ford obviously has their $1,000 for ordering, but that's the more I've thought about that, because I kept seeing that ad on Sunday when I was watching TV. The more I thought about that, they've raised their MSRP more than enough to have just covered that expense. You know, they know exactly what they're doing.
But that doesn't matter. You're still saving the $1,000.
No, I hear you.
You know, as opposed to the person that just buys one at the dealership, they're not getting that $1,000 rebate.
Yeah, you've got it here from Igor. Ray, what incentives and rebates? Exactly. There were none in the first quarter, but I think there's some validity.
Statistically speaking, okay. On average, it was about $1,000. That I believe was part of Cox's presentation yesterday.
Yeah.
So, you know, now that average across the board being about $1,000, that might have been because maybe Ram, which tends to offer higher incentives, you know, maybe theirs were high while everybody else's were not.
Yeah, Ram incentives and also Ram orders, from everything I've read, have been a bit more palatable than maybe your comparable GM. I mean, GM shut down 2 factories in Indiana for the upcoming, not yet, it'll be starting next week and the following week after that. All right, again, I know I'm a broken record.
You are.
Please fill out the car dealership reviews.
Yes, we need that.
We need that information. And again, we are not going to paywall it.
And it's not we need it. We all need it.
Yeah, no. All right, put your arm back out again. You see how it goes off? Got to keep it in. Yeah, we all need it.
We all need that information. This is a we all.
So please, I'm going to continue to promote this like crazy because I think it's super valuable. The EV channel, Dad, I'm thinking 91 subscribers. What do you think?
Okay.
It's probably still 80.
12. It's gone down to 12.
91. YA Electric starts April
subscribe twice?
11. No, actually. 92.
Okay.
Now we have 92.
Yeah.
And then again, the valuation tool. Join yaa.com/valuation. This is the hardest time, I think, in history to buy a car. And you know what? That means we got to step our game up. We started this
trying.
channel. We started this business with the idea of help people negotiate the out the door price. That
Yes.
still makes sense. It's still helpful. We got to level up. We got the car search. Super helpful. In transit
Yeah.
is launching this afternoon. Okay.
Wow.
So when you go and you search for cars on
Yeah.
joinyaa.com, let me show you what that's going to look like. Joinyaa.com. Man, I can't wait for the day where we just own yaa.com, but
Yeah.
baby steps. When you search, there are going to be little chips. You know how it says used or certified? It's going to say in transit.
I like that.
Okay. And that's it. That's a result of, okay, well, half the freaking inventory in the United States right now is in transit.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. That's one way that we can help there. Obviously, there's no ads. But we got to keep stepping our game up. And I think this new project, the car dealer reviews, I think that is probably the best way that we can add value right now. Because what is the question we get hit with every single day?
Can you give me a dealer that's selling the cars at list price? Can you put together a list? Who's a dealer in Southern California? Where's one in Central Michigan? Give me a dealer in the Chicagoland area. Everybody wants to. Well, so this is the way we can hopefully put that list together.
Now, hang tight for just 1 second. I just remembered something. Give me a second. And yes, I wore shorts to the office again today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's because he's got such nice legs. I don't know where he's going. I don't know any. He doesn't share with me.
Okay, so just yesterday,
Yeah.
I received this package. I'm covering up their address.
Yeah.
My dad's birthday is May 20.
Oh, stop it. God,
May 25th.
very good.
My dad's birthday is May 25th.
How old are you?
26.
Yeah. You'd figure,
26.
You'd figure in 26 years you might be able to commit that to memory.
My dad's birthday is May 25th.
Yeah.
We had a community member reach out to me
Yeah.
via the community form. He DM'd me, asked for our address,
Yeah.
which is right there. It's like
Yeah.
anyone can come hang out with us.
Yeah.
And he sent you a birthday present.
Oh my God.
So we have the first birthday present for my dad, his 71st birthday. So stay tuned. I'll probably post something on the forum to see if we can.
So I now have a reason to at least live another 2 months so I can open that package.
And here you go from Igor. If you're not on the forum, please get on the forum. Ray, I see you answering posts on the YA forum. Yeah, we've been slammed.
I've been trying.
500 new members last week, if I'm not mistaken. New premium members,
Wow.
Paying us for help. Okay. I said, Pops, we need you to put the team on your back. Get on the court. Full court press.
Yeah. Learn how to dribble. Yeah.
It's called a show.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time.
Thank you, Dad.
Thank you. Everybody, we'll see you back here tomorrow at noon with more news that you can use from YAA. Until then, have a great day.
Guest on the show tomorrow. Join us for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yossi. See
Yossi.
you then.
See you tomorrow.